It's time to fire this thing up. Looking at is an aftermarket device called the TurboSwing, and recently I was up in Louisville, Kentucky at the International Boat Building Exposition. It's called IBEX, and I saw this being offered from a company called Monster Tower. And man, did this get me excited because there's so many outboard powered boats. Well, hey, good deal, you made it. Hi, I'm John Graviscus. This is my son Jonathan Graviscus, and it's great to have you back aboard the boat. I went ahead and I ordered one of these TurboSwings, and the team mounted it onto our 1966 20-foot Bertram Moppy in order to do some testing. Okay, we were blown away. And Jonathan, you know, I'm noticing whenever you go out on the water with your friends wakeboarding, you choose the boat that we're on. This is our 19-foot Boston Whaler. Why do you choose this over some of our twin outboard engine boats for wakeboarding?
Well, it has a ton of power, and it comes out of the hole really quickly, but it's got enough room that I can put all my friends on it, and it's small enough to where I can still maneuver it.
Is it a hassle, though, to put a bridle around the outboard engine and attach it to the D-rings that are on the stern?
Absolutely, it is, and I don't like bridles anyway.
Would you want one of these TurboSwings for this boat?
Definitely, I'd love it.
Okay, well, that's what today's program is going to be all about. It's going to be very, very exciting. And in fact, here's just a tease.
Welcome back. This is a real working 28-acre boatyard / boat building facility residing in Stuart, Florida. It's ShipShape TV's home base. Ideally located, the complex is situated on the shores of the Okeechobee Waterway, which happens to connect the Atlantic Ocean to the Gulf of Mexico. Now, once again, here's the founder and host of ShipShape TV, John Graviscus.
What you're looking at is a device called the TurboSwing, and welcome back. Thank you, Buck. Like always, that was a wonderful introduction. I was recently at a boat building exposition in Louisville, Kentucky called IBEX, and I came across this device at this gentleman's booth, and I want to introduce you to everybody. This is Tony Williams, and Tony is with Monster Tower. And Tony, a little while back, we had you on the program, and we were installing one of your universal fit wakeboard towers onto a 19-foot bayliner. And I kind of noticed that on that boat was a ski pylon. And I really want to get into the difference between a wakeboard rider, skiers, and people that use their boats for tubing. There's a tremendous amount of difference when it comes to drag and weight, is there not?
Absolutely.
Okay. A skier, you know, that's very little drag. You know, the ski's only about, you know, that wide. Okay, a wakeboard, you know, there's not a whole lot, and it's one rider. Some of these tubes might have 4 riders, 5 riders, 6 riders. They have a flap in a lot of these tubes where it actually catches water. And when you're first getting them out on, I'm not talking about up on the surface, but when you're first pulling these people up, there's a lot of weight. Have any of these pylons, have they ever bent over time?
Absolutely. We see it all the time, John.
Jonathan and I were talking about a bridle that you can hook to the D-ring. It goes around an outboard, okay? And he was telling me that when he cuts real hard, kind of that outboard line on the one side of the bridle will come into the body of the outboard engine, okay? Also, like on that bayliner, that had a ski pylon going up. It was an outboard engine.
Right.
And we've had people come to our Facebook page and say, hey, I had that same situation where I have a ski pylon and my tow line is actually brushing the top of my outboard and paint is wearing away. Is that a big problem?
We see it all the time, John. We
okay.
do.
A lot of people, to kind of avoid that, okay, problem, the hassle of reaching over to those D-rings when you're out in the water, is they might just take the tow line for the tube or something like that and cleat it off to a cleat on the boat. But again, when the tube gets thrown outside the wake, the line's going to cut across your engine, and that's going to wear away the paint. And that's a very expensive component on the boat. Who wants paint wearing away from that outboard engine, okay? So tell us a little bit about how this is so different than towing with D-rings or a cleat or a pylon.
Okay. Well, John, this is going to mount to the strongest point of the boat. It's where the engine mounts. Your line is always going to be behind or on the outside of the actual outboard engine.
How does the line ride around this?
It's going to ride on the Delron roller, right around, so it's not going to jerk or cause any kind of
smooth
friction.
operation.
It is very smooth.
What's this material? Why doesn't this bend? Why is this so strong?
This is 316 A4 stainless steel. It's
right.
Very heavy, very strong, very durable.
316 stainless steel, guys, is pretty expensive.
It is.
Is this a pretty expensive device? Where do they begin?
These start at the single engine start at around $485. We also have a twin engine version, and those start around $999.
Okay, so you're making two versions of the TurboSwing?
No, we have 7 different versions. There's 4 for singles and 3 for twins.
Why do you have the different size versions?
For the various sizes and engines.
Have you ever had a skier behind you and the skier cuts and you kind of lurch with that skier? Does it give you a steadier ride?
It is a much steadier ride because you are towing from, the center line of the boat, and this is going to pull and keep the boat more in line, so it's not going to list from side to side.
We recently did a shoot with a company that made a lot of these tubes, and we had a lot of riders. And what I noticed in the water, Tony, is when they were coming back into the boat, they were kind of using the TurboSwing as an extra handle to kind of get them up into the boat. Are a lot of people doing that?
Yes, a lot of people do that. My kids do that, and I also tell my kids that this is a perimeter. You do not go within the inside of the TurboSwing towards the engine itself.
Okay, yeah, this is like a natural guard, and it's a visual indication to do that. Is it strong enough to maybe use to tow another boat? I mean, could you use this in towing?
Absolutely.
Does the TurboSwing, is it adjustable? Can it ride at a straight horizontal angle to the water? Can it raise up? Does it lock into position? How does this work?
It is adjustable. You can adjust it to whatever height you prefer, and it's going to lock so it won't go down. But as the engine tilts up, this will tilt up with the engine.
Is it removable?
It is removable. You pull 2 pins and you can take it direct, right off, leave it in the garage if you don't want to have it on there.
How would somebody at home get more information to size up the right size TurboSwing for their specific need? Because I believe over half the boats in the United States are outboard engine. I think a lot of people are going to want this. And how do they get more information on the TurboSwing?
TurboSwingUS.com. That's TurboSwingUS.com. Has the full sizing chart for every outboard out there.
Tony, thank you so much for the information. Right now, we need to take a very short time out, but keep it right here because when we come back, we're going to be installing this TurboSwing right after this.
The tool shed's still open, so stick around. ShipShape TV will be back in a flash. Welcome back. It's time to get into today's project with John.
What you're looking at is my Evinrude 150 horsepower outboard engine bolted onto our 19-foot Boston Whaler. And what we're going to be installing now on the program is one of the most practical, strong, user-friendly towing devices I've ever come across, called the TurboSwing. And we again have Tony Williams on the program from Monster Towers. And Tony, I know that we have to do this installation. Can we do this while the boat's in a slip, or might we want to put it on dry land?
Definitely want to put it on dry land.
Okay, well, take us through the process. Where do we begin?
Okay. Pretty easy install here. We're going to take out the top left bolt and bolt this bracket directly onto the existing engine bolt.
Okay. Now guys, your outboard is either going to be affixed to your transom with 4 bolts or 6 bolts. We're just taking one of the top bolts out and we're putting this bracket into place. Do we need to pin this to the actual transom, and does that mean we have to drill another hole?
We will need to drill an additional hole into the transom, yes.
Okay, and we're going to use an additional bolt, and that is going to lock it to the transom, because again, this is a very sturdy device that we're installing right here. But when you're drilling through the transom for that additional bolt, you want to make sure that you seal it off with a good quality polyurethane adhesive. You do not want your transom ever leaking or rotting or anything like that. So this bracket is attached. Is there anything that we need to affix to this?
We're going to put the cradle on after this is bolted down, and the cradle is going to allow the TurboSwing to adjust up and down. Okay. Once we get it where we want it, we'll lock it into place.
Well, keep taking us through this. What do we have to do?
Once it's locked into place, we're going to slide the roller onto the TurboSwing, drop it into the cradle, put a pin in it, and we're done.
Man, that couldn't be any simpler. Thank you, Tony.
That's right. Our project today is pretty much complete, which means we're now back on the water with John.
Well, here we are back out on the Intercoastal Waterway. Welcome back, and we have successfully installed our TurboSwing to our 19-foot Boston Whaler Nantucket, and it was a very, very simple installation. It took about maybe 40 minutes to do it. We again have Tony Williams on the program from Monster Towers. They actually make and distribute this TurboSwing. And we have a real thrill for everybody. This gentleman right over here, this is Sean O'Brien. And if you've ever heard of O'Brien Water Sports, okay, they sponsor this guy. He is one of the best in the world. And guys, what I'm noticing is when you pull down on the TurboSwing, you can adjust it into different positions. It's about the same height as like a ski pylon, okay? The tow line is going to be completely out of the water, but when you pull down, it's very rock solid. Yet you can trim the engine up, and it lifts that bar right up with it, just like butter. This is such a nice device. But Sean, I need you to grab the board, and let's show everybody just how awesome this device actually is. Could you do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Not lurching like traditionally, how if you were pulling somebody, the boat would lurch like crazy. This TurboSwing is absolutely amazing. And we do have a few people that we need to thank who helped make today's show possible. First off, we need to thank Tony Williams and everybody at Monster Towers. We had Sean O'Brien helping us out today. My guys worked real hard. Everybody kind of giving us the information from the tips. But the most important one that we need to thank here, that's right, it's been you. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with us right here on the beautiful water's edge. Let's pan over to Sean and see him do a couple of tricks. We'll see you next time. Could you do a flip or something, Sean? Do a flip. This is how you make your boat ship shape, guys. Watch this. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, he's a lot better than I am. All right, we got to get John. He's going to be starting to school pretty soon. I'm going to put Jonathan through it. He's a huge wakeboard nut, man. We're out of time. We'll see you next week.